What is up, fellow Broncos fans? Today we're rewinding all the way back to the 2017 NFL Draft, and if you're a Broncos fan like me, you might just want to close your eyes at this one because this is going to be very rough. This is going to be a rough. This is going to be rough going through this. This class is depressing after going back and looking at it. I knew this is probably our worst draft class in recent memory, if not of all time. But yeah, this one was bad. Let's go ahead and just get into this one. So first with our first round pick, 20th overall, we selected Garrett Bowles, offensive tackle out of Utah. Honestly, this pick wasn't great until this past season where he stepped it up and he was one of, if not the best left tackle this season. Just too many holding penalties, and that's really what set him back was the holding penalties. He was solid. He would like hardly miss a game if ever missed a game. And this season he got his payday and he is solid. I hope he can continue that momentum. I hope it's just not where he performs this 1 year very well on a contract year and then goes back to his old ways. But so far, it's looking better. I can't give this one in the A's because of those previous seasons where he struggled with the penalties. But the durability was great, and then this past season where he stepped it up was really great, and I'm happy for Garrett Bowles. If he can continue being this great at offensive line, I think that is going to be phenomenal. The only problem that really happened is if you look, Ryan Ramczyk was still available. We could have taken Ryan Ramczyk here, which would have been a phenomenal pick, but we went Bulls. Not a bad pick, but he started to turn around this year. With our second round pick, we selected DeMarcus Walker, edge rusher out of Florida State. I'm not gonna lie, he wasn't terrible for us, but considering the fact that we had Von Miller, we had Shaq Barrett, we had all these other edge rushers. We didn't have Chubb yet because Chubb would come in next year's draft. But he wasn't bad. He played in 36 games. He had 51 total tackles, 31 solo tackles, 20 assist tackles. He got 10.5 sacks. He forced one fumble. He recovered that fumble. And he defended one pass and he had one stuff. Honestly, it's not that terrible when you look at it in hindsight. He's with the Texans now, I believe, but not a terrible pick. He played 4 years. He did pretty well for us. Just honestly, with all the edge rushers we have with Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Malik Reed, all this stuff, just really no point in keeping him around, to be honest. So he's with the Texans now. But yeah, C+ for me. I really don't think this was a bad pick. He was very productive, but just with all the edge rushers we had, was never a starter. In the third round, we selected Carlos Henderson, wide receiver out of Louisiana Tech. This is an F-. He was only with us for the 2017 season. He was placed on IR that season, and then after that season ended, he was cut. He never saw the field. He could have seen it in preseason, I believe, but never saw the field in the regular season, and this is just an absolutely terrible pick. It's an F-. With the next pick, our next third-round pick at number 101 overall was Brendan Langley. He played a total of 2 seasons with the team. He played in 16 games. He wasn't that great when he was playing corner. I remember watching him in person, and he was not great. He returned 1 punt for 6 yards. He returned 10 kicks for 244 yards. His longest was 60. He returned the kick of his longest of 61 yards. He averaged 24.4. He had 250 all-purpose yards. He did try to make a switch to wide receiver a couple years ago. That didn't work out. He wasn't great, and then he was cut by the Broncos, and just F because he wasn't great when he was playing corner, which is what we drafted him for. And then on special teams, he wasn't anything special. So, Then in the 5th round, we selected Jake Butt, tight end out of Michigan. I'm going to be honest, this wasn't a terrible pick. We picked him up in the 5th round, and he was with us from that 2017 season through the 2020 season. And he wasn't that bad when he was on the field. He was pretty good. But the only problem is he was never on the field. He was hurt so often. He was on IR multiple times. His body just betrayed him, and he got so hurt. He, from the 4 years that he was with us, so 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, he only played in 2 of those seasons. And in those 2 seasons, he only played 8 games. He started 4 of them. He was targeted 17 times. He had 10 receptions for 90 yards. He picked up 4 first downs. His longest play was 22 yards, but he did not score any touchdowns. And it wasn't a bad pick. He was fine. It's not like the player was bad. It's just his body betrayed him. He just got hurt. He could not stay on the field. But just to add insult to injury, the next tight end was taken, and I believe it was the very next pick. George Kittle was drafted. So there's that fun fact. But, unfortunately the injuries caught up to him, and he just couldn't stay on the field. So, Jake Budd's going to have to be a C+. With our next pick in the 6th round, another 5th round pick, 172 overall, it was Isaiah McKenzie, wide receiver out of Georgia. And I'm giving this one a C- because, well, he didn't have a great career with the Broncos. He's having a great career with the Bills right now. He only played 1 year with us, but he was our return specialist, kick returns, punt returns, and I liked him. I don't know why we got rid of him, to be honest. He played in 11 games. He had 4 receptions on 13 targets. He got 29 yards, and he averaged 7.3 yards. His longest play was 14 yards, and he had 2 first downs, no touchdowns. But, I really liked his explosiveness. I don't know why we got rid of him. Obviously, I don't mind it with our receiving core now, but at the time I was kind of confused why we got rid of him. But now he's in Buffalo, and he's having a good career from when I tune in and I see him playing for the Bills. So I don't think it's a terrible pick, but I liked him as our return specialist. I like Dante Spencer now, but at the time I thought he was going to be a great return specialist for us. In the 6th round, we selected D'Angelo Henderson, running back out of Coastal Carolina. This is an F- pick. He played 1 season. He played that 2017 season. He had 5 games played. He only had 7 rush attempts for 13 yards. He picked up 2 first downs, with his longest run being 5 yards. And in the receiving game, he was targeted twice. He had 2 receptions for 36 yards. It wasn't great. It's a 6th round pick, so what are you going to do? It's not like, who did we pick in the 3rd round that just absolutely failed? Carlos Henderson. But, unfortunately, it did not work out. And in the 7th round, the Mr. Irrelevant pick was actually Chad Kelly, quarterback out of Mississippi. Well, I don't think this is a bad pick. He didn't play in the regular season. Well, actually, the only snap that he took in the regular season was a kneel down, which counted for 1 rush attempt for -1 yards. So that's unfortunate. But that was a kneel down. And honestly, I thought Chad Kelly could be our next quarterback. He looked like he could be great. Obviously, he beat Paxton Lynch out, which wasn't hard to do. But when Case Keenum's contract ended, at the time, that's who our quarterback was. I thought he could take over and be the quarterback for the Broncos. But unfortunately, just the character issues caught up again. So, for those of you who don't know, I believe Chad Kelly attended Clemson. He had character concerns, issues with coaches and all that stuff. He got kicked off of Clemson, and then he went to Ole Miss, Mississippi, and he was pretty good there. But just the character concerns are what held him back from being a top pick, and that's why he was taken with the very last pick in the draft. And then the character issues caught back up with him again after Von Miller's Halloween party. We all know the story. He was intoxicated, and he walked into someone's house, and then, he got beat up by a vacuum, and then cut the very next day. I thought he could have been a good quarterback for us. I really do. It's just unfortunate the character concerns caught up. That's why I think now we draft high character guys. It's because we don't want anything like that going on again with our players. If I had to grade this draft, I'm going to give it a D minus, because when we look at it, the top pick was Garrett Bowles, which isn't bad. Then DeMarcus Walker. So our first and second round picks were hits. And then if I had to say another hit, it would be Chad Kelly, and that didn't really work out great. He looked pretty good in the preseason, but the character concerns. So this was not a great draft for the Broncos. Luckily for us, it has improved dramatically our past few classes. So hopefully we'll get better. We'll recover from this. I mean, we already have. We already have. Our roster's great. We just need to get the quarterback situation figured out, whether that be Drew Lock stepping up, Teddy Bridgewater coming in, or drafting someone next year. I think that we have a pretty talented roster. But anyways, let me know what draft class I should go back and review next. Do you want me to go back to our 2016 draft class? That's the latest I'd go back is 2016. So let me know if I should do 2016, 2018, 2019. I'm not doing 2020 or obviously 2021 yet, because those are too recent to tell. But I do appreciate you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with some more football videos and more Broncos videos very soon. Peace out.